There are few vehicles that have the ability to muster nostalgia when you see one on the street. Volkswagen is parent to a few of those such vehicles. The VW Beetle is certainly one, as is VW's Type 2, also known as the microbus. The original T1 version of VW's bus debuted back in 1950 as a rear-engined, rear-wheel drive derivative of the Beetle, but with room for the whole family. There were numerous iterations of the original bus, including panel van, minibus, and pickup configurations, but it is most recognizable today by its split front window. Those T1 variants are most often referred to by the number of windows they have. The basic bus is an 11-window model, and a deluxe model is a 15-window model. Then there's the Sunroof Deluxe that features 23 windows. That characteristic split front window disappeared when the T2 bus debuted in 1967. The VW bus evolved over the years, moving through the T2 from 67 through 79. The T3, called the Vanagon in the US, eventually phased out VW's air-cooled engine for a water-cooled boxer engine way back in 1983. Then there was the final iteration of the VW bus, the T4. Called the Eurovan in North America, the T4 was the most versatile of the VW buses as it was available in 4, 5, or 6-door van configurations, 2, 3, or 4-door pickup variants, and as a camper van. The last T4 models ended production around the world back in 2004. VW has been adamant that there is room in their lineup for a bus, and we have seen several concepts over the past 20 years. In 2001, VW showed off the microbus concept at the International Motor Show in Germany. That concept went nowhere. 10 years later, in 2011, VW debuted the Bully concept. This is my personal favorite of all the new bus concepts. The big change was that this concept was an all-electric vehicle. It was much smaller than the microbus concept, but alas, that concept once again went nowhere. 2016 saw the Bud E bus concept, another electric vehicle. This concept won several design awards and eventually gave us the ID.Buzz concept, the predecessor to what the company has actually delivered back in 2017. The ID.Buzz concept had some pretty trick design features, especially in its seat layouts. But more on that later. And so at long last, 20 years after the T4 ended production, this is the Volkswagen ID.Buzz. This is an important vehicle for Volkswagen, and in our product brief, VW representatives stated that they are not just launching a new vehicle, they are establishing a new brand symbol. That's a pretty heavy sentiment. The exterior design of the ID.Buzz clearly pays homage to the classic VW bus. There's a massive VW logo on both the front and rear ends, short overhangs, the cabin has massive greenhouse space, and on the D-pillar, the designers saw fit to add little vents reminiscent of classic rear-engined buses. I feel that the ID.Buzz certainly looks the part, and it draws loads of attention. VW designers really nailed the look of it. And if you can believe it, VW claims the ID.Buzz has a drag coefficient of just 0.29. The ID.Buzz is built on VW's MEB platform. Here's a quick look at what that means.
The Modular Electric Drive Matrix, MEB for short. It forms the basis for a completely new electric vehicle family at Volkswagen. For many customers, the basic configuration of the platform already represents an ideal compromise between range, vehicle dynamics, and cost. To provide a greater range, the platform can accommodate additional battery modules. Simple reconfiguration of the battery housing, the wheelbase and the track width allows for a wide variety of vehicle types, from compact cars and SUVs to vans, always combining plenty of space in the vehicle's interior with long ranges. As standard, The electric motor drives the MEB's rear axle. Combined with a balanced weight distribution, this ensures excellent vehicle dynamics. The four-wheel drive variant offers an improvement of this performance. For this purpose, an additional electric motor on the front axle is used. With its variability, the MEB is therefore individually tailored to almost every customer. E-mobility for all.
The standard ID.Buzz is rear motor, rear-wheel drive with 282 horsepower and 234 miles of range. The all-wheel drive variant has an electric motor both front and rear and delivers a combined system output of 335 horsepower and just 3 miles less range at 231. The all-wheel drive ID.Buzz hits the 0 to 60 mark in 6 seconds, with the rear-wheel drive variant taking 1 additional second. But no matter which ID.Buzz you choose, it will come with a 91 kilowatt-hour battery that has 13 cell modules. This battery can be charged at a rate of up to 200 kilowatts at DC fast charging stations, and that basically translates into charging from 10 to 80% in about 26 minutes. VW's engineers have added an interesting thermal management function to the battery. The system uses the electric vehicle route planner to determine charging stops, and then heats the battery to an optimum temperature before each charging stop so it can take on the charge at the maximum rate. This can help reduce charging times by up to several minutes. Drivers can also manually activate the preconditioning function through the charging menu in the infotainment system. The 2025 ID.Buzz charging plan does include 500 kilowatt hours of charging at Electrify America, plus 3 years of Electrify America's Pass Plus membership. The MEB platform provides some packaging magic. The ID.Buzz is 195 inches long, and its maximum cargo volume is 146 cubic feet. To give you some reference, a Chevy Suburban is 226 inches long, and the Suburban provides 145 cubic feet of max cargo volume. Inside that space, the ID.Buzz is clean and minimalist. There is seating for either 6 or 7, with either 2 captain's chairs or a 60-40 split folding bench in the second row. All US Buzzes will be 3 rows, as the 10-inch shorter standard wheelbase version available in Europe will not be making its way to these shores. The third row seats are split 50-50. They fold flat and, according to VW's press materials, can be individually removed. The controls will be familiar to anyone who has driven an ID.4, with a 5.3-inch instrument cluster and a 12.9-inch infotainment display. VW has filled the ID.Buzz with a suite of safety features and driver assistance technologies. IQ Drive is standard across the board, for example. But enough yapping about this ID.Buzz. Let's do what we've all been waiting for. Let's hit the road. All right, so I'm in the ID.Buzz with Tanya. Say your last name for me.
Gazdik.
Gazdik.
Yes.
And Tanya works and writes for?
Media Post, Ward's Auto, Girls Guide to Cars.
A bunch of stuff, that's what. So we're sitting here and the air conditioning is running and we thought the car was on, and I'm trying to move my mirror and it wouldn't move, and it's one little knob that you have to move around, like if you want the left or the right, or if you want to fold them in, or if you want to heat them, you got to do the thing and spin it. Okay, so now it's moving because I turned it on. But the vent was blowing, so we're not...
It's hard to tell.
We're not on. That's the problem with EVs. You never know if you're an accessory power, if you power at all. I guess we're powered now. Okay, so mirror's set. And this is the ID.Buzz Pro S Plus rear wheel drive. So you can get the ID.Buzz all wheel drive or just rear wheel drive. Like the original bus, right? Rear wheel drive, rear engine, all the things in the butt.
Yes.
All of the things were in the butt. So I'm not sure how I feel about these controls over here, because I have window switches for R2 front windows right there. If I want to roll, not down, but out and back, if I want to roll those windows, I have to hit that, and now rear is lit up, and then I can open up the rear windows. So instead of having 4 switches, front windows, rear windows, I have a little capacitive touch haptic sensory rear button thing that's just not my favorite thing about this car.
It's like the ID4
ID4
had the same thing.
Yeah.
People didn't like it then, but well.
And the same sort of controls. All the capacitive haptic sensors, touches, no hard buttons for anything except for opening the doors right here, which is great. But storage is amazing. You know what else I don't like? No one-pedal driving. Not yet. Rumor is, according to people at Volkswagen, that it's in the works. And the ID.Buzz does have over-the-air updates, but they're not sure if when one-pedal driving comes available, if that would be an over-the-air update or actually some hardware. So that all remains to be seen. Okay, so where are we going? Let's go to here. Home, probably.
I believe so. That looks right.
Let's go home.
Start.
Please drive to the route shown.
Okay. All right. So the only time I sort of felt...
Please follow Road California 1 for 12 miles.
Sounds like a plan. The only time, oh my gosh, that I felt like the all-wheel drive was we had a little turnoff, that little turnoff that we parked by so we get the ocean view, and that was on gravel. So when I took off from gravel, you know, you could get a little spinny from the wheels.
Yeah.
This time I really felt the all-wheel drive. And I did not ask what the weight difference is between the two, because this one already feels a little bit different to me.
I'll see if I can research that.
Okay. So as I mentioned earlier, and in the lead-in for this video, the packaging of the ID.Buzz is pretty awesome. It's pretty cool to find Easter eggs all over the thing. Once you know where they are, then you have your friends find them. But this is actually a fun vehicle to drive. Surprisingly fun. Again, wish there was one pedal driving. We've got this B mode, which is like a brake thing, which is coasting down rather than one pedal drive. So there is regen, but it's just not as aggressive as one pedal drive. But this thing soaks up bumps pretty darn well. With the weight down where it's at, don't know weight distribution. That's the other question I need to ask. But it feels balanced. Like, I don't feel, in something this tall, normally on twisty roads like this, you'd feel a little out of control if you're going the speed that I'm going right now, which is faster than I should be going right now. But this does not feel out of control at all. In fact, it feels like I can go faster. I don't want to go faster, but it isn't a lightweight, so you do feel some of that mass, but the mass is below my butt. So you can navigate through things like this pretty darn quickly. Not that that's what the ID.Buzz is built for. This is a family vehicle or a camper vehicle, or I'm hauling my dog's vehicle, or you know what, I just want all the space in the world and I really like my living room, so I'd like to take that to the store. I think that might be what the design prerogative was. But Tanya, you were saying earlier that you spoke with product specialist on this yesterday who was talking about there's no specific target market.
Yeah, the head of marketing actually
Okay.
for VW said, you know, normally you've got different demographics that you're kind of focusing on, like families, empty nesters, you know, whatever. And his point was there's really no reason that anybody couldn't buy this and use this and love this.
Right.
So.
And I agree. So we've spent a couple hours tooling around Northern California. Beautiful roads, beautiful country. The ocean's right there. These bicyclists here that I will not hit, I promise. And people notice this thing.
Everywhere.
Holy
Everyone.
cannoli. Like, we had a couple stops and people just walk right up.
It's like being a celebrity.
It kind of is.
Yeah.
So if you don't like people, don't buy an ID.Buzz, because you're going to be talking to everybody under the sun.
Or they're going to be trying to talk to you and you're going to be like, I don't want to
Yeah,
talk.
grumble, grumble, no thanks. Okay. Rear-wheel drive power, kicking us out. Oh, look at us go. But it's quiet. This is 55 miles an hour. I could probably whisper and you could hear me in the third row. The third row that I fit in. All right, so Volkswagen ID.Buzz back seat test. This is the second row. Look at this. Oh. All kinds of space. Headroom, acres, legroom, million miles. But Volkswagen bragged about third row. I'm gonna hop back here. And they weren't lying. Oh my gosh. Put the headrest up. At 6'2", I could drive across the country in the third row. Not too shabby. What?
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, and the seats fold really flat. There is that gap.
That's a little bit of a problem, but you know, fixable.
Yeah, stuff some pillows in there or dead bodies, whatever. And it doesn't look to be that you can remove the second row or the third row. They're not removable seats. They just flip flat. Best solution in the world? Maybe not. I don't know. I remember we had a Toyota Sienna. We actually had several Toyota Siennas. And we had one that had 4 captain's chairs, 2 in the front, 2 in the second row, and a bench in the back. And you could take out the captain's chairs in the second row. And so we wound up taking them out and leaving them in our basement because our kids like to sit further away from us. So they'd sit in that third row. And then we always had room in the middle. Like they had
cool, right?
room to kick their legs out and, you know, just hang out. But you can't really do that here in the Buzz, which honestly is a little disappointing. Do you remember the concepts that they had for this? There are like 15 different concept versions of this that they had.
Yeah.
And in like one of the last ones before this concept came out, I don't remember, it was the name of it. These front seats could swivel around.
Yes.
The back seats could swivel around and be removed. And I was like, oh.
It was super cool.
That's when I got so excited about the ID.Buzz. I'm like, I need one. If that's what you can do with this, oh, I need one. As far as comfort goes, wow, I'm impressed. I even have the thigh extenders here on the front seats. There's heated seats in the back.
Massaging seats.
Massaging seats up here in the front. And heated and vented seats in the front. The second row in this version is a bench instead of 4 captain's chairs. So you can have 2 seating. So 4 captain's chairs and then the 2 seats in the back, which are 50-50 split. Or you can have 2-3-2. So the second row would have 3 people in a bench. And that still is a 60-40 split, folds flat, and outboard seats still have heat, which is pretty amazing. But it's quiet. The ride is pretty fantastic. The steering, I mentioned it before, it's light. It really is. Almost overboosted. And when you switch drive modes, all it changes is steering ratio, throttle response, brake response, and HVAC. Just like in an ID.4. That's it. So no suspension changes, which is okay, because this fixed suspension is pretty darn nice.
Yeah.
And yeah, so a few little quirks, like if I wanted to turn on my heated steering wheel right here, there's a little button right here, and then I tap it and you get that little sound and turn it down. There's 3 different levels for that. I did that earlier and actually turned the channel on the radio, which is the next little button next to the thing on the steering wheel, because you have all these things right on top of each other. Annoying.
You get used to it if you own it. It's one of those things that it seems like a lot, but if you own it, you got it.
I agree. Here's the bigger question. I live in Wisconsin. It gets cold in Wisconsin. You live in Michigan. It gets cold in Michigan.
Yes.
So if I have my driving gloves on, which are mittens, big old mittens, and because it's 30 below zero when I jump out in my ID.Buzz, the great thing is you don't have to let it warm up. You just hit start and go. Not like an internal combustion engine where you want to get the oil moving and all that sort of thing. You just get in and go. That's one of the huge benefits of an EV. But how is all this going to function with winter gloves?
I think you're going to have to take them off. I think that's your solution.
Boo! Boo to that. You know what would fix it? Hard buttons.
That's not happening. That's just not happening.
I know it's not going to happen, but, you know, for the new Mark 8 Golf, Volkswagen did switch back to hard buttons on the steering wheel. Except in the R.
Yeah, it's sporty. They're trying to keep it more...
They want to keep it simple and clean and blah, 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 blah. Yeah. So, no. But there are how many different design colors? Like 8 different palettes. There's 3 different...
Crazy.
We've got that thing.
Crazy amounts of colors.
Cheat sheet.
And yeah, that's what I was looking for. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
11 different exterior color options, 3 different interior color options. The interiors are exclusive to the US. And Volkswagen reps mentioned that they didn't want like dark and like cave-like. They wanted it to be a little more warm and inviting. So this one is Dune, right? That's what we're in?
Yep, this is Dune.
This is Dune, and then there's a copper.
Yep, which is kind of a mid-century modern vibe.
And then there's a dark one that's...
Moonlight.
Moonlight.
Yeah.
It's like a dark brown, terracotta sort of brown. The cabin is really inviting. I wasn't sure if I wanted to like it, because this is a little pricey. They start at just under 60 grand and go up to just under $70,000. So this one is a mid one, so we're in the mid 50s, mid 60s, right?
Mid 60s.
Mid 60s. Shnikes. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money to shell out for an EV with what I feel is a somewhat limited range. Fully charged, you're 230.
Yeah, that's a little low, but
you know, it is a big vehicle. You're moving around, I get that, but I'm impressed.
Are you in love or just impressed?
So that's the thing. Like, I really want to spend more than 4 hours with this. You know, more than half a day driving it around on windy roads in California, where you're just loving everything you're seeing, and you're like, oh, I want this. Look at how beautiful.
You need to drive in a snowstorm.
I need to drive in a snowstorm. Yeah. I need to live with it, and I guess that's what would be the selling point for. Oh, I just noticed, like the ID.4, it's showing me my lane over here.
Yeah. On
the left side of my instrument cluster and the car in front of me.
Do you have a head-up display?
I do have a head-up display.
Yeah, so you got
that's
both.
Fully adjustable.
Yeah, nice.
Which is pretty cool. So I'm impressed. I really like it and would like to spend more time with it. So if you've been waiting for a Volkswagen ID.Buzz and you're on the list and you're going to be getting one, what I can tell you is I'm pretty certain you will not be disappointed.
Let's sell, get these sold and sell as many of these as you can, and then they'll start worrying about.
And speaking of selling, they did talk about the product overview last night, that the plant where they build these overseas has increased capacity, because they were estimating about 100,000 vehicles a year for the world. Now they're saying between 120 and 150,000 annually for the world.
Right.
Okay, that was the lane keep assist being pretty angry with me. Let's see if I get to do that again. Yeah, that pushed me pretty hard. That's not bad. That's not bad. I dig it. Alright, so this is the ID.Buzz.
Prepare to keep right and then follow the road I-580 towards Oakland.
And it's still quiet. There's some wind noise that emanates from the front window, but look at it. It's like a movie screen, like an IMAX movie screen, so still quiet. Alright, this is just a 0 to 60-ish. Here we go. Rear-wheel drive. Going, and 60. Volkswagen claims the rear-wheel drive 7 seconds. We can do the math and figure that out. And in the all-wheel drive, 6 seconds to 60 miles an hour.
So the ID.Buzz doesn't offer any groundbreaking new technology or driver experiences. While I was very impressed with the road manners, usability, and comfortability in the Buzz, I lament the lack of one-pedal driving, missing lateral support in the front seats, and the fussy front window switches. But my biggest concerns are the limited range and cost. A vehicle this size should be able to have more than 300 miles on a full charge, and I fear the advertised 230-ish miles will deter some buyers. The $60,000 price of entry for a rear-wheel drive Pro S might also deter other buyers. An all-wheel drive First Edition will run you more than $70,000, including Volkswagen's $1,550 destination fee. And that ain't cheap. But with that being said, the line of buyers for the new ID.Buzz seems to be out the door and around the block. The buzz for the ID.Buzz is real. And on most counts, the ID.Buzz does deliver. Let us know what you think of the new ID.Buzz in the comments below. And we look forward to seeing you next time.